The BAFTA Awards have been criticised for a lack of diversity after no non-white actors were nominated in the top 4 main categories. 20 nominations, and they were all white.
For a 7th year in a row, no women were nominated in the Best Director category either. Well, even the BAFTA boss, Amanda Berry, is shocked, saying she's very disappointed with
in her own nominations. I mean, she's pretty startling. Joining us now is model Eunice Olumide, who says it's not a deliberate attempt at discrimination, and lawyer and women's activist Dr. Shola Mos-Shogbamimu, who thinks the lack of diversity is intentional. Well, let's start with you then, Dr. Shola, because, you know, there's a lot of stuff, you know, racist, and sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. This seems to me a clear case where you've got BAFTA banging on about diversity. The Hollywood industry has banged on about diversity for years now. And here you've got every one of the 20 nominations in the acting categories, and they're all white. It couldn't be less diverse. It's a joke. How has this happened? What do we do about it? Because a lot of movies now are very diverse.
Yes,
right?
Yes,
Black Panther was the most diverse movie ever and was one of the biggest success stories ever. What is happening?
Piers, you and I actually agree.
Yes!
Fantastic. Listen, diversity, like any other form of progression, must be consciously intentional. It must be more than a declaration. It must be a demonstration. It must be more than a claim to aspire to. It must be a manifestation. And so as far as I'm concerned, this BAFTA So White is a deliberate dereliction of duty by the British Film Academy.
Is the problem that there are 6,700 odd members of BAFTA who vote, and they are predominantly, you know, significant majority white men? Is it a subliminal issue that the people actually doing the voting are actually not diverse?
I think that it's definitely a key aspect of it. But remember that, for me, I would say that diversity is not just about what you look like in voting, it's your mindset. And within the film industry, it is their responsibility to honour, recognise and celebrate the diverse talent.
Who should have been on these lists, you think?
Look, perfect example. You can't tell me that there are no options within the, you know, leading and supporting actresses. You've got the like of, you know, Cynthia Erivo's Harriet. You've got Lupito Nyong'o in Us, Jennifer Lopez in Hustlers. There are many really good, talented actresses that did very well. And let's not forget that Margot Robbie was, you know, nominated twice in the same category. How can we... And, you know, we're only talking about nominees right now. We're not even talking about winning. But how can a demographic win when you're not even nominated?
Well, we know that every winner of the acting, of the 4 acting awards at the BAFTA will all be white. We know that because all the nominees are white.
Ranveer, you had talked earlier about this being an unconscious bias, that without taking anything away from those who have been nominated, because that's what
you can't. You know, they're all great actors. Like I go and watch those films, I enjoy them. You know, but I think it is that, you know, people do vote with what they... We do it in life, I think. You know, you go to what you feel familiar, to what you recognise yourself in. And the problem is that at the top of all institutions, TV, in anything, you have to have people at the top who are making the decisions that change things. Because it's hard to change it from the bottom up.
Would that change it? If the BAFTA membership was shaken up, made more diverse, would that mean these nominations would look different?
Absolutely.
I definitely think that that would have a significant impact. And I have to say, again, I actually agree with everything that's been said here today. The only thing that I think I'd like to highlight is that it's such a multifaceted issue. And I think that the film industry, like any other industry, is almost like a microcosm of the entire society. And I think that sometimes if we just focus on one particular way of seeing it, or if we describe it as direct racism, then we're not necessarily looking at what are these specific issues that have led to this disproportionate representation.
People have been looking at that for so long. You know, I'm kind of bored of it. You know what I mean? Bored of talking about diversity. It should be happening.
Part of the problem as well, if I may say, is that for the longest time, it almost feels as though we ought to be grateful because we're being given crumbs. Oh, Aquafina, she's in the rising star. I'm sorry, it took women 100 years to get the right to vote. We're now in 2020. Those of ethnic minorities and different demographics do not have to wait for the rest of the world to catch up.
And also, one of the problems that has been identified is that sometimes actors of colour are marginalised in the Rising Star Award and not recognised in the big award.
There's a lack of understanding that by not honouring, recognising and celebrating, what you're also doing is you are taking away their opportunities. So equal outcomes and opportunities for them in their career is directly aligned to their being honoured and being celebrated.
But Eunice, you see, what's interesting, my middle boy was at drama school, and he said there was a real push to make the drama school that he was at more diverse, and it was happening at other drama schools. So it's clearly happening at grassroots level. A lot of working class black young actors were brought in and so on. Certainly all the movies I'm seeing appear pretty diverse, so there's opportunity has been created and is being taken up.
Yeah, but look at a film like Blue Story, absolutely jam-packed with working-class black actors.
Right, but they're not being
directed
nominated
by a black director. Apart from, again, the Rising Star Award and Good for Mike Award...
My question was this.
Not recognised.
But here's my point. If all the grassroots stuff is being sorted and opportunity has now been created, what is the answer? Let me give you a parallel as to whether we go this far, and I don't think we should, but it's interesting in cricket in South Africa, post-apartheid, for example, when you couldn't be a black player and play for the South African national team. Now it is the law you have to have at least 4 black players in the South African cricket team. And there have been a few quibbles about this. Kevin Peterson, for example, a white cricketer, came to play for England because he couldn't get in the South African team because of that quota system. But many people felt it was a necessary thing to do to change the mindset and the cultural selection process. Yeah. Should we be thinking about that in terms of award ceremonies, of stuff like this in Hollywood?
I definitely think that positive discrimination is essential. But what I was actually trying to say earlier is I'm not dismissing anything that anyone said. What I'm trying to articulate is that if we identify that people from working class backgrounds, people from marginalised groups are not getting opportunities, what we need to do is we need organisations such as the BAFTA Awards to ensure that there's appropriate funding.
Yeah, but I think they are getting opportunities now. I don't think that's the problem.
Well,
the problem is they're getting opportunities, they're appearing in the movies, they're directors...
But they're not being recognised.
They're not getting the recognition.
And I think to
it's a different issue to create an opportunity.
I think to Eunice's point as well about it being symptomatic of the society we live in, right? The problem there is that we're not also dealing with the root causes.
This is exactly what I was
We're not dealing with the root causes.
I would change the voting system for BAFTA and for the Oscars, where you have 7,000 people, arbitrary people in the industry. They're skewed heavily white male. I think that is one of the problems here. And I think they should change the voting system where the members all put forward a big long list, and then you have a very diverse, carefully selected panel at BAFTA and at the Academy Awards, who then take the long list and they have a proper debate like we're having, and they make the damn thing
I'm nodding to everything Piers is saying. We're actually agreeing, right?
I know, this is like crazy.
Which is actually quite worrying.
For the first time.
We have to move away from this stance and position of having a predominantly male stale approach to everything.
But at the same time, I do definitely think it's so important for us to understand how it works in real life. The fact of the matter is, from a grassroots level, industries such as film, fashion, etc., are areas where you might not be making a lot of money. So it's really important for us to understand that we need to ensure there's grants, we need to ensure there's funding.
And also important to recognise that BAFTA does a lot of good stuff. I'm a big fan of BAFTA. I think they're a good organisation. They're trying hard. I think it's the membership makeup that votes for these things that is the problem.
Yeah.